Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? But actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us. It's in all of us. And as we let our own light shine, we subconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So it's holy work to move past your own fear. It doesn't just help you. It helps the world.
Southern trees bear strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root, black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scene of the gallant South, the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth, scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh. Then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rock, for the tree to drop. Here is a strange and bitter cry.
Boarding that Greyhound bus to travel through the heart of the Deep South, I felt good. I felt happy. I felt liberated. I was like a soldier in a nonviolent army. I was ready.
I'm on my way.
I'm sorry, our management does not allow us to serve niggers in here.
The Freedom Rides of 1961 were a simple but daring plan to put blacks and whites on commercial buses. They would deliberately violate the segregation laws.
These people are going from town to town and getting off the bus, Negro men and white women, to provoke acts of violence.
The idea of going into Mississippi and going into Alabama and challenging segregation so frontally is something that alarmed not only those who oppose civil rights, but those within the civil rights community.
I don't question their legal right to travel, but I question their wisdom. Some people can get hurt.
There was that feeling. I'd just like to punch some of them damn agitators right in the face.
There was a mob, looking like 1,000 people. They had these iron pipes.
They were screaming, kill them niggas, and they had babies in their arms.
I asked God to be with me, to give me the strength I would need to remain nonviolent and to forgive them.
We'll take hitting, we'll take beating. We're willing to accept death. But we're going to keep coming until we can ride from anywhere in the South to any place else in the South.
Buses are a-coming, oh yes. Buses are a-coming, oh yes.
It was America. It was interracial. It was interregional. It was secular and religious. It was a shining moment.
Your parents tell you, don't start something that you can't finish. Finish it.
This afternoon, we want to talk about the ballot or the bullet. The ballot or the bullet explains itself. But before we get into it, since this is the year of the ballot or the bullet, I would like to clarify some things that refer to me personally concerning my own personal position. I'm still a Muslim. That is, my religion is still Islam. religion is still Islam. I still credit Mr. Muhammad for what I know and what I am. He's the one who opened my eyes. And so today, though Islam is my religious philosophy, my political, economic, and social philosophy is black nationalism. You and I... As I say, if we bring up religion, we'll have differences, we'll have arguments, we'll never be able to get together. But if we keep our religion at home, keep our religion in the closet, keep our religion between ourselves and our God, but when we come out here, we have a fight that's common to all of us against an enemy who is common to all of us. Whether you are a Christian or a Muslim or a nationalist, we all have the same problem. They don't hang you because you're a Baptist, they hang you because you're black. They don't attack me because I'm a Muslim, they attack me because I'm black. They attack all of us for the same reason. All of us catch hell from the same enemy. We're all in the same bag, in the same boat. We suffer political oppression, economic exploitation, and social degradation. All of them from the same enemy. The government has failed us. You can't deny that. Anytime you live in the 20th century and you walking around here singing, "We shall overcome," the government has failed. This is part of what's wrong with you. You do too much singing. Today it's time to stop singing and start swinging. And I'm here to tell you, in case you don't know it, that you got a new generation of black people in this country who don't care anything whatsoever about odds. They don't want to hear you old Uncle Tom handkerchief heads talking about the odds. No. This is a new generation. If they're going to draft these young black men and send them over to Korea or South Vietnam to face 800 million Chinese, if you're not afraid of those odds, you shouldn't be afraid of these odds. And when I speak, I don't speak as a Democrat or a Republican, nor an American. I speak as a victim of America's so-called democracy. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. If you go to jail, so what? If you're black, you were born in jail. If you black, you were born in jail. In the North as well as the South. Stop talking about the South. Long as you south of the Canadian border, you're South. This is why I say it's the ballot or the bullet. It's liberty or it's death. It's freedom for everybody or freedom for nobody. America today finds herself in a unique situation. Historically, revolutions are bloody. Oh, yes, they are. They have never had a bloodless revolution or a nonviolent revolution. That don't happen even in Hollywood. You don't have a revolution in which you love your enemy. And you don't have a revolution in which you are begging the system of exploitation to integrate you into it. Revolutions overturn systems. Revolutions destroy systems. A revolution is bloody. But America is in a unique position. She's the only country in history in a position actually to become involved in a bloodless revolution. All she's got to do is give the black man in this country everything that's doing. Everything. I hope that the white man can see this, because if you don't see it, you're finished. If you don't see it, you're going to become involved in some action in which you don't have a chance. We don't care anything about your atomic bomb. It's useless, because other countries have atomic bombs. When 2 or 3 different countries have atomic bombs, nobody can use it. So it means that the white man today is without a weapon. If you want some action, you got to come on down to earth. And there's more black people on earth than there are white people on earth. It'll be the ballot, or it'll be the bullet. It'll be liberty, or it'll be death. And if you're not ready to pay that price, don't use the word freedom in your vocabulary.
On August the 28th, 1963, some 200,000 people marched through Washington in the biggest political demonstration the Capitol had ever seen. The issue, civil rights for the country's 20 million black minority. Dr. Martin Luther King had already led similar protests in the southern states against discrimination in schools, on public transport, in shops and restaurants. This was taking the fight to the heart of the country itself, and it struck a chord in American consciousness. Within a year, though there were many setbacks on the way, an act was signed prohibiting discrimination in employment, hotels, and government jobs. On the day, the organizers thought they'd be lucky to get 100,000 supporters out onto the streets. In the event, more than double that number turned up. Film stars and politicians, whites and blacks, from all sections of the community, inspired by the rhetoric of Dr. King himself, and by the song that became the battle hymn of the civil rights movement.
This nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream.
Tragically, before that dream could be fully realized, Dr. King died at the hands of an assassin in 1968. But his inspiration lived on and changed the history of race relations in the United States forever.
Okay, all right. Let's move to Malcolm X for a moment.
Two questions there. Let's take the first one, which is the easy one. How did you prepare for his eulogy, and why do you think, of all people, you were selected?
Oh, I know why I was selected.
Okay.
When Malcolm was killed on Sunday, it was at the end of a very tense time in the Harlem community. And those of us who knew Malcolm and loved him had watched as he was being chased and brought to bay, and Ruby's brother, who was still an adherent of Malcolm, told us stories of how the Muslims, the black Muslims, had made Malcolm a target and they were out to get him. When they killed Malcolm, the feeling in the community was that they had indeed gotten Malcolm, a man that we loved. So on Tuesday night, there was a firebombing at Mosque number 7, which I assume was the retaliation of those who loved Malcolm against those we thought who hated Malcolm. At the same time, there was in Chicago I think the black Muslims were having a convention, and speeches from there, roiled the atmosphere. It was so explosive that the police department every morning sent a busload of riot police to Harlem in riot gear. And so as I went into the Harlem community, as several of us did day by day to see what we could do, we were aware that Harlem had become an explosive possibility, almost under armed occupation. The question, how to give Malcolm a decent burial, one that expressed our appreciation of him, and also one that expressed our maturity as a people. Could we have a funeral that was a funeral and that was respectful, that didn't end in bloodshed on the very scene itself? Percy Sutton, Malcolm's attorney, had gone to most of the churches in the community, trying to get them to open their doors so that we could funeralize Malcolm somewhere. Most of the churches said no. The big community churches said no. And they explained very simply, not that we don't love Malcolm. As a matter of fact, our love of Malcolm is a part of it. We feel if we open our churches to a funeral and have Malcolm's body here, those who hate him will come in and bomb or destroy. Or it's too tense. It's too fraught with danger for us to have Malcolm's funeral in our churches. Percy finally found a small church on Amsterdam Avenue where the bishop would allow us to funeralize Malcolm. It wasn't the largest place in town, but it was large enough for us to hold the funeral. Well, then, what kind of funeral service should we have? Obviously, we should have a service that stressed the dignity and respect, that was not political, did not exacerbate the antagonistic feelings roiling around in the community, but that was peaceful. And if we couldn't bring healing, at least out of respect, we could keep things orderly and calm. So it was then thought that two people certain in the community who could help conduct the funeral service in a dispassionate and calm way would be Ruby Dee and R.C. Davis. They were respected by both sides, even in the struggle over Malcolm, and they could bring the sort of dignity and stature to the services that the community, people in the community felt would be helpful and healing rather than explosive. So Percy called and said that Sister Betty Shabazz, and others in the community felt that Ruby and I, as sort of the master of ceremonies at the funeral, would be tremendously helpful to see that things went off in an orderly and respectful manner. Put to me in that light, how could I say no?
No, of course.
And so Ruby and I agreed that we owed it to the community first and to Malcolm second to be there, to do our best, to see that the lid was kept on and that things proceeded in an orderly and respectful fashion. So on that Saturday morning, when the time came, we went to Harlem, parked the car, went into the services, and at that time, a part of my responsibility was to give the eulogy, which I did. I thought, after talking it over with Ruby, that that I would emphasize those things about him that appeal to all, and not to that which was divisive or ideological or strained or whatever. I tried to use some words to that effect, and I have a feeling that I succeeded.
I think you did.
At least we were a part of the thing that, kept the lid on in our community.
Yes.
Barack Obama in 2004 was totally unknown. People were saying, I don't know who this guy is. I wonder why they picked him.
He had this reputation as a bit of an upstart, as sort of a young, rising figure in the party, but no one knew who this guy was. This was his chance to introduce himself to people.
Tonight is a particular honor for me because, let's face it, my presence on this stage is pretty unlikely. My father was a foreign student, born and raised in a small village in Kenya. My parents shared not only an improbable love, they shared an abiding faith in the possibilities of this nation. I stand here knowing that my story is part of the larger American story, that I owe a debt to all of those who came before me, and that in no other country on earth is my story even possible. Alongside our famous individualism, there's another ingredient in the American saga, a belief that we're all connected as one people. If there's a child on the south side of Chicago who can't read, that matters to me even if it's not my child. If there's a senior citizen somewhere who can't pay for their prescription drugs and having to choose between medicine and the rent, that makes my life poorer even if it's not my grandparent. It is that fundamental belief, I am my brother's keeper, I am my sister's keeper, that makes this country work. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. Now, even as we speak, there are those who are preparing to divide us. The spin masters, the negative ad peddlers, who embrace the politics of anything goes. Well, I say to them tonight, there is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America. There is not a black America and a white America and Latino America and Asian America. There's the United States of America. The pundits like to slice and dice our country into red states and blue states, but I've got news for them too. We worship an awesome God in the blue states, and we don't like federal agents poking around in our libraries in the red states. We coach Little League in the blue states, and yes, we've got some gay friends in the red states. We are one people, all of us pledging allegiance to the Stars and Stripes, all of us defending the United States of America. In the end, that's what this election is about. Do we participate in a politics of cynicism, or do we participate in a politics of hope? It's the hope of slaves sitting around a fire singing freedom songs. The hope of immigrants setting out for distant shores. The hope of a young naval lieutenant bravely patrolling the Mekong Delta. The hope of a mill worker's son who dares to defy the odds the hope of a skinny kid with a funny name who believes that America has a place for him too. Hope in the face of difficulty. Hope in the face of uncertainty. The audacity of hope. I believe this country will reclaim its promise, and out of this long political darkness, a brighter day will come. Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you.